This happened in the last episode of Isla Napali. A little beautiful arcade has been placed in the middle of the Octopus ride, the new flat ride and the dive coaster. It features all the wonderful assets that Red Mist created for the TMT, and it's also very jank. But it has to be more jank in the future according to the feedback in the last episode. Also, we've been focusing a little bit of finishing up the spaces in between, such as having a little bench to sit down and a few more fences here and there. Now enjoy the next episode. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Planet Coaster. Welcome back to Isla Napali in episode number 30. We finally made it, and in today's episode, it's nothing special, as I've promised you a few weeks back, since the special idea I had was basically doing these little story videos, but you know, they kind of seem to be not really well received. I did a little bit of a question and answer thing, or kind of basically just a question in my Discord, and I got some honest answers, which I really do appreciate a lot, since this is really what moves you forward. And so it appears that you guys didn't really like them too much, since they felt, well, kind of off at this point in time, and not really necessary. So I thought, okay, let's stop them here. I have basically prepared three of them, so 5 in total. But I felt like, you know, just doing them for the sake of doing them is not really what I want to do. I want to do good content for you guys that you can enjoy and you really like. And after the past couple of weeks, I can really tell that the content you really like is Isla Napali as a regular time-lapse video, as we have it today. So here we go. But in today's video, I'm tackling something I should have done way more early, but I was basically trying to put that as far back into the future as possible, to just avoid it where I can. But yeah, there had to be that point in time where I need to do it, and this point in time appeared to be this week, since I watched this coaster, and after last episode I got some good feedback on the structure I made for this coaster, for the first of all for the Twitch track, but also for the custom supports. I did adjust the custom supports upon that feedback, so I made them not being combined, I made them being separated, so that we do have each single support with a triangular shape to each and every single bit of the coaster track, and also made the overbanked turn after the first corkscrew a little bit different. I also redid the corkscrews themselves. I completely redid them without adding the banking offset, since without having the banking offset we have this new continuous roll-esque behavior of the coaster, which is not really a real continuous roll, but something has been added since the last DLC and the last update of Planet Coaster that makes them way more smooth, and actually it is like magic. Honestly, the POV of this coaster, if I do remember, I will put that at the end of this video. Potentially I forget, but if I do remember, I put a little POV at the end of this video, and I hope that you're gonna enjoy this, because it's really showing off how much smoother the coaster got by just adding those new transitions and the 2 new corkscrews. And basically, there's nothing more I did about this than just adjusting them again without having banking offset. And I remember doing this before the update, and I tried to do this without banking offset, and it was completely crap. Like, honestly, but making these corkscrews or loops or like inverts or barrel rolls or whatever without banking offset never actually worked out at all. It really was always awful. So it was always the same method. You would go and increase the banking offset to 2, and then just make the roll by going in 90 degrees bits, and then just use 4, 5, 6 meters, depending on how long or how quick the coaster is, that you need longer or shorter track pieces. And in the end, you would always smooth it out with the kind of same technique you would use for the 4-meter technique in general. Just smooth it out 4 times, forth and back, and then you would have kind of a smooth roll. But now you don't really need to do that. All you need to do is just do basically the work flow as it is supposed to be, and just make the roll without having any banking offset. Just make sure that you use the same lengths of track pieces and go still to 90 degrees bits every time, and you should be good to go. But yeah, that's already it about the coaster part. What you've seen also in this adjusting of the coaster is and that I was struggling quite a lot to get those coaster tracks to work properly with the brake runs and with the block brake system. And I'm not entirely sure, but it felt like there was something broken. I will have to reach out maybe to Sam Denny and ask him if this is a supposed behavior or not. But what I figured is, no matter what I did, the leaving interval of the coaster train out of the station couldn't be adjusted. Like, no matter which time I set it to, it didn't really change. It always left the station exactly after the same bits of time that the other coaster went through, and this was exactly after the first block break, which shouldn't be the case. The minimum leaving interval of the station should always override the block section input, because otherwise, like, there is a reason I put that to 30 seconds, and this is to make sure that the coaster train, the first one, makes it through the second block section, so that the coaster itself, the second one, doesn't stop at the highest point. I mean, it still works, and I have readjusted it to into a way that it does work, but the problem is that the whole coaster gets slower throughout this thing, since it shouldn't be broken down, I would say. No, it shouldn't be slowed down that much as it is right now. And yeah, it was a little bit of a struggle. In the end, I got it done by just adjusting the track a little bit so that the coaster makes it through the second part of the track a tiny bit quicker. So it is basically a perfect leveled coaster. Like, the first and second segment of the coaster is exactly the same length, and so we can make sure that the coaster train is always going through before the other one is hitting the block section. And so we can make sure that the whole thing always works, no matter how many people are on the trains and stuff like that. So yeah, that was it. What you see now is, and I thought it would be nice to have at least two pieces of this building in this episode. So basically we have kind of the coaster adjustments, which is more for the coaster freaks out there, and this is now for the people who like to see more building style, and I'm pretty happy with the outcome of this one. It's not entirely finished, but I'm super happy with how this turned out. So this is the chairlift, which is located to the left-hand side of the island, and I wanted to address some of your feedback, since this is a few episodes ago actually, but I think it's still valuable and valid to talk about that. Some of you, not too many, but some of you mentioned that you don't really like the positioning of the chairlift. The main reason was because it was too short actually, and I was really thinking about it, what I could do with this feedback, since as I said, I want to try to bring in as much as possible of your feedback, and also no matter if it's going to be done really as you said, but at least I step back a little bit and I just try to think about it if your comment makes sense at least. And even if it doesn't make really that much sense, it may help to find some other issues. And so please keep on giving feedback to everything you see. Give me feedback to the coaster, of course. If you have seen some bits that you don't really like about the layout and stuff like that, please let me know. Since this park, and it has to be that way, has to be redone a few times, and I am fully aware of the fact that we have to do it. There went my voice. Damn, I was just got away. Anyways, I'm aware of the fact that we have to do it, and I'm also aware of the fact that basically the amount of work that goes into one single build is way more than in my usual projects, because it's not like I'm building it and just do a few tweaks. It's just really coming back to each and every build after we have done like 3 or 4 or 5 new introductions to the park, and then maybe some other stuff doesn't make really sense in this context, so we have to change it. So basically, for example, that we changed, I don't know how often we changed the main station building of the Big Dipper coaster, for example. I don't know how often I changed the path layout between the restaurant and the dive coaster. I don't know how often I changed the stairs actually going down into the splashdown section of the dive coaster, which is still not finished, by the way. I'm still doing a few things here and there, which makes it even better than before, and also address some of your comments, such as the elevator. We're gonna have an elevator in the future. I'm at the moment trying a few things, since I had a nice idea in mind and it seems to be working. I just need to find out how exactly I do it, but it seems to be working the way I hoped it would. So yeah, be surprised, because I actually think that this is ridiculous, but it looks awesome. However this worked, but it looks awesome. Anyways, so here's another thing I wanted to talk about, especially about this building here, is that this chairlift. So as I started, this point is about the location. I really feel that this location fits, because the chairlift has to be installed in this location way later than the original park layout was done. So it was just a introduction within the last, let's say 10 years, so maybe 15, and this is why it would actually be located a little bit outside of the park. And this, I think it's a really suitable location over here, since it really uses also the wave breaker restrained wall, which we will use for the lagoon, or not lagoon, the canyon I meant, because the canyon is really something that has to be secured from flooding. So yeah, that's why. And so we have kind of a concrete structure that helps us keep the supports being stable without getting into the danger of being in trouble because of having some sediment problems or volcanic activities or whatever. So yeah, that's the main reason. And I also felt like it doesn't really destroy the overall skyline of the park too much, and I think that's even the bigger argument here. So I easily could have put the station way more into the center of the park, but essentially would have then the kind of cable things and the track would basically go above all the different flat rides and attractions we have in the park. And one thing I do actually like the most about this park is that it is a realistic approach, and also that how the layout of the park really pays into each other, and the layout of each section really pays into the other section. And having this kind of cable stuff going on top of it, and we will also have a lot of cables going on for the energy supply later on. I didn't want to destroy the kind of free air too much, since we are still in Hawaii. We still want to enjoy the blue sky and the beautiful trees and stuff, so I think that would destroy it too much. And this is basically the main reason why I wanted to have it as a thing which is way more to the outside of the park. And it will have a reason also why it goes upside down, why it goes up the hill, damn it. There's a reason for it, but yeah. So one last thing I need to talk about is this one over here. I desperately need your feedback if you have an idea which kind of pieces I can use for this bit here, since I really couldn't find any piece that is small enough to be used here. I wanted to make a little bit of a switch track element, or like a storage hut for the chairlifts, even though it will be way too small. I'm imagining, and maybe I can even do this, I basically could enlarge this building to the left hand side into the mountain a little bit, since having this all the time completely open and not being able to store these seats basically somewhere would actually make them really tackled by the salty air around here, and by the sea water and stuff like that, and by the humidity. So I think it would be very important to be able to store them somewhere, to make sure also to protect them from storms and hurricanes and stuff. So this is why I built this building over here. But anyhow, let me just take those last bits of the video to really tell you, if you like this episode, if you like my projects and so on, please do me a favor and jump into tomorrow's episode of the Winter Project. It will hopefully drop around 6 p.m. Central European time. It will be the last episode of the time lapse. It will feature a little bit of a spoiler of what's going on with that project, but it really, honestly, I love the Winter Project. Isla Napali is my most favorite project at the moment, and there's nothing that can take away from it, but I really would love to have a little bit more of traction and of feedback on the Winter Project. So make sure to jump over there and just come and join us with a little winter story. I mean, even here in Germany we have now winter. There was a little bit of snow outside a few minutes ago, so I'm optimistic to have at least a little bit of winter, even though we are placing some surfboards here on a wonderful beach. But yeah, if you want to have a little bit of winter feelings and you like my project and you want to support me, make sure to jump in tomorrow in the episode and give me some feedback down there. That would help me a lot. And if not, well, we see each other on Sunday with the next episode of Isla Napali. Until then, have a great day and see you. Bye bye.